Want to continue to monitor this breaking news that we have been following. A car chase that has come to an end with a suspect dead. Our Sky 13 is now over that scene. Don Armstrong is there. Don, what can you tell us from your perspective there?
Well, Jeff, we had a hard time finding it here because it is off of the highway here in Cove subdivision over here in Chambers County. We're just to the north of I-10 here, and apparently this chase lasted an hour and a half, going all the way from Fort Bend County through Houston, around the Beltway, over to Highway 146 and 225. An hour and a half. I can't even imagine a chase this long, pursued by two helicopters. The subject's car is right there in the middle of your screen. I don't want to get too close here because the male driving that car is now deceased. When we understand there was a female and a child in the car, they are unhurt. We don't know all of the details as to why this person led police on this chase. DPS involved in this, along with Fort Bend County, Houston, and I assume Chambers County. I just arrived on the scene, so I've yet to be able to identify all of the officers that are here, but quite a scene here. As you can see, as I pull out, give you some sort of an idea as to what is taking place over here far east of Houston and Harris County in Chambers County. And as you can see, it is a subdivision that has an entrance to it here, and I can't really make that out in our position that we are here in the helicopter. But as you can see, the scene is being guarded, waiting for the medical examiner and other investigators to get to the scene over here. But quite a sight to see a car sitting by itself. We understand there was some sort of a shootout, at least here. We may think that it had been a shootout approaching this area as well. Not quite sure on all of the details with that, but quite a scene here over in Chambers County.
Yeah, Don, while you continue to monitor that scene, I'm going to bring up a map because you had mentioned just the distances that this police chase covered. We have the first report of this chase happening in Rosenberg, and again, you mentioned, Don, an hour and a half later, here it comes to an end, virtually on the other side, far side of Houston, past Baytown even, the chase ending with that suspect dying. We've got that map up right now. We're going to go back to your live sky picture there, Don, to talk a little bit more about this. We know that apparently, according to Sheriff Ed Gonzalez, that there was a man with his ex-wife in the vehicle, but making things even more tense for law enforcement was that there was a 3-year-old toddler in the vehicle as well. And as we had reported fairly early on in this chase, law enforcement believed that that suspect did have a handgun or a firearm with him at the time during this entire police chase. We had some video earlier, but we'll continue on this live picture. But we did see some video earlier of this chase going around the south Beltway, going through the Pasadena area, and then incredibly, Don, as you mentioned, to make this chase to go from the Rosenberg area to now out into Chambers County, that is an awful long distance, and an hour and a half. That's a long chase when it comes to, in terms of police chases. You've seen quite a bit. Very rarely do they last for that length of time, and certainly for that many miles on the road.
Well, Jeff, the only thing that I can speculate is that police somehow knew that there was a female and a child in this car being driven by the suspect, who is now deceased, and that's why they didn't try to get a pit maneuver on the car and end the chase much earlier. And so they're just going to play it out and see how it ended. And I think that it ended here because the suspect, apparently high speeds were reached during this chase, and it was in this subdivision where it all came to an end here. Not sure if there was a roadblock set up, but as you can see, it appears that there may have been a roadblock set up, knowing that this man was headed in this direction. For some reason, he is over here, and maybe perhaps he lived in this area. Not sure. Again, speculation on my part, but there was a reason that it lasted an hour and a half, and that's one of the reasons that I have this question about why it lasted so long. Because usually in something like this, pursuing a Jetta, there was really no reason for not to do a pit maneuver. It was just a single person, because there's lots of asphalt out here in this area, and I'm sure that there would have been an easy place to make that pit maneuver, Jeff.
Yeah, you're right there, Don. Sorry, we're just getting some more information coming into us. We do have a photographer on the ground, not too far from that scene. As soon as he is set up and ready to go, as soon as our reporter is set up and ready to go, we'll join him from the ground. But you're right. You mentioned how that crowd of vehicles, the cluster of vehicles there, what would be in front of the car. You do have to wonder if police might have known if this person was coming this way or not. There are quite a few police vehicles there. We'll have to figure out exactly why that is the scene. And then, of course, the vehicles from behind, that's not really a surprise to see that many vehicles behind it. When we were watching this unfold through our TransStar camera network, it did seem like there were at least a dozen or so police officers following behind this vehicle. And you're right about not wanting to maybe get into the mind of law enforcement is why they did what they did on this. We've got Harris County Sheriff Ed Gonzalez there who'll answer some of these questions. But knowing that there was a child and knowing that there was a gun involved and a woman involved in this as well, it makes you, as you mentioned, Don, think that maybe they didn't want to do any kind of pit maneuver or put those other lives in danger as well. And it's important to point out that whatever happened out there with the gunfire, there were no other injuries. There were no injuries to law enforcement out there as well. We don't know where the shots came from, but we will find that out after the sheriff makes his way to that area. It's probably going to be a while, Don, to get out there. You mentioned it was a little hard to find. And just to double check, this is the Cove subdivision, Don?
That's it. That's what I understand. The city of Cove. It's a small community over here north of I-10 and just to the north of Baytown over here. Jeff, I did want to mention also that we were a little bit late getting up because of the weather. Foggy conditions, and it may not have appeared that way at where you are, but we have to take into mind where we're going. And fog has been an issue this morning. Just before sunrise, it kind of set in and limited our visibility, so we were unable to fly, and that's why it took us a while to get up here.
Right, and this chase, the distances, once again, if people are just joining us here on the ABC 13 24/7 news stream, what you're seeing right now is a map of where this chase started and where it eventually came to an end. You're talking about, from the far west portion of our coverage area going over to the far east portion of our coverage area. It is quite some distance, and this chase lasting for an hour and a half. Again, our Sky 13 is over the scene. Don Armstrong has been monitoring this now for the last 15-20 minutes or so. As soon as we find out more information on what happened out there, we will let you know.